My sister ruined my love life for over a decade, stealing every guy I ever cared about. But I didn't cry. I waited. I studied her. I fed her the perfect man. And then I watched her fall apart. Please stay with me as I tell you my story, and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing this with your loved one. You won't believe what she did, and what I did back. My sister always had a way of getting what she wanted. When I was 16, I had my first real boyfriend. We had been dating for about 3 months. I was young and fully in love, or at least I thought I was. He was sweet, always texting me goodnight, making me feel special. One afternoon, out of nowhere, he told me we should break up. He said he wasn't ready for something serious. I cried all night. A few days later, I saw him holding hands with my sister. At first, I told myself it had to be a mistake. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But then I saw them laughing together at school, her wearing the hoodie I had given him. She didn't even look at me. He pretended like we had never dated. That was the beginning. Over the years, the same thing kept happening. I'd start seeing someone. Things would be going great. Then suddenly, the guy would grow distant. He'd stop texting as much. Plans would get canceled. Then, just like clockwork, my sister would pop up with him, smiling like she had just found her perfect match. It happened so often, I stopped telling her when I was dating someone. But somehow she always found out. People always said she was the funny one, the pretty one, the girl everyone liked instantly. I was quieter, more reserved. I didn't crave attention the way she did. I didn't flirt with every guy in the room. But that didn't seem to matter. No matter who I was with, no matter how close we were, they always ended up with it. I tried confronting her once. I asked her why she kept doing it. She laughed. Actually laughed. She said, maybe if you picked better guys, they wouldn't leave. I wanted to scream. But what would be the point? Our parents adored her. My friends thought she was cool. No one saw what she was really doing. They thought I was jealous. Eventually, I stopped dating altogether. I couldn't handle the heartbreak anymore. Every time I tried to trust someone, she would slip in behind my back and take it all away. It made me feel invisible, like I didn't matter. Like my feelings were just practice for her to step in and make everything about. I spent years like that, watching, waiting, staying quiet. But I never forgot. I never let go of the feelings she gave me, that burning mix of anger and helplessness. I knew one day I'd make her feel it too. I didn't know how or when, but I promised myself that the day would come. And when it did, she wouldn't even see it coming. Lily wasn't just pretty. She was dangerous in a way no one else seemed to notice. She had this glow around her that made people instantly drawn to her. If she smiled at you, you felt special. If she complimented you, you remembered it for weeks. Everyone adored her. She wasn't loud or obvious with it. No, Lily was quiet and clever with her charm, like she had studied people long enough to know exactly what they needed to hear. To the world, she was sweet, funny, a little wild maybe, but harmless. To me, she was something else entirely. She had a way of making me feel small without ever raising her voice. When we were alone, she'd say things like, "Are you sure he likes you? I mean, he kind of looked bored at dinner." Or, "I just think maybe you're too intense sometime. Guys like girls who are chill, you know?" Then she'd twist it with a laugh, like she was just being the loving sister. I'd end up doubting myself, wondering if maybe I really was too needy, too serious, not enough. Meanwhile, behind my back, she was texting them, always with the same pattern. She'd message them late at night, start with jokes, then compliment. At first, it was little things. "You're so much funnier than my sister," or, "She doesn't really get your humor like I do." The lines blurred. By the time I realized something was off, it was already too late. And when I tried to confront her, she acted innocent. "You think I'm flirting with your boyfriend? Seriously?" "Wow." She'd look hurt, then roll her eyes and call me paranoid. "You always think the world is out to get you. It's exhausting," she'd say. And I believed her. That was the worst part. She made me question my own reality. But I knew. Deep down, I knew. Lily had this way of making me feel like I was going crazy. She'd say things never happened. She'd swear I was imagining things. If I mentioned something she said last week, she'd act like it was all in my head. I never said that. "Why are you twisting everything?" she'd snap. Then a minute later, she'd laugh again and offer to do my hair, or lend me a sweater. It was like being trapped in a game I never agreed to play. Our parents didn't see any of it. To them, Lily was the golden child. She was bubbly and full of life. I was the quiet one, the serious one, the one who took things too personally. They didn't notice when I started pulling away. They didn't notice that I stopped bringing boyfriends home or talking about my life. Or maybe they noticed, and they just didn't care enough to ask why. I started keeping things to myself, hiding, pretending I was fine. But behind her soft voice and perfect smile, Lily was a master manipulator. She loved being the center of attention. She loved being wanted, even if it meant stepping on everyone else to get there. Especially me. It was like some twisted game for her. Every boyfriend she stole, every look she gave me after, It was all a silent reminder that she could have whatever I had, whenever she wanted. She wasn't just stealing guys. She was stealing control. She was rewriting my life, piece by piece, and no one believed me. But I never forgot the way she smirked when no one else was looking. And one day, I promised myself she would smirk at the wrong person. I was 28 when I met James. He wasn't like the others. He was quiet, thoughtful, steady. He listened when I spoke, really listened. He remembered things I said weeks before. He didn't flirt with everyone, didn't play games. He was the first man who made me feel safe, like maybe I could finally stop looking over my shoulder. James was an architect. Not flashy, not loud. He hated parties and rarely used social media. That's what made me feel sure. He didn't even glance at Lily when I introduced them. Polite, yes, but uninterested. He wasn't her type, and I convinced myself I was safe this time. I let myself relax around him. For the first time in years, I actually told my sister about it. I thought it was time to stop being paranoid. We dated for almost a year. I started imagining a future. I had never done that before. We talked about moving in together. He said he wanted to meet my parents properly. Everything seemed right. Lily didn't even ask about him much, and I thought that meant she was finally out of this habit. Maybe she'd change. Maybe we were actually growing up. Then, one Friday evening, James didn't answer my call. I figured he was just busy, but he didn't call the next day either. Or the next. His number went straight to voicemail. I messaged him, no response. I checked his apartment, but it was empty. I started to panic. Had something happened? Was he okay? On Monday, I opened Facebook, and there it was. A photo of Lily and James standing on a balcony, the city lights behind them, her hand resting on his chest. She was smiling, holding up her left hand. A diamond ring glittered on her finger. The caption read, he asked. I said yes. I stared at it for a long time. I kept refreshing the page, thinking maybe it was some kind of joke. My brain refused to understand. There had been no sign, no warning. He had ghosted me and proposed to her in the same week. They didn't message me, didn't call. Not even a fake excuse. Just posted the photo like I didn't exist. Something inside me cracked. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream or beg or break down. I didn't text them. I didn't block them. I sat very still for a long time. And then I began to think. Really think. For the first time, I didn't try to make sense of it. I didn't wonder what I did wrong or how it happened. I already knew. Lily saw something I loved, and she took it. Again. But this time, it wasn't just another boyfriend. It was something real. This was her final move. And it would be mine too. She had no idea that the game she loved so much was finally going to turn on her. And this time, I wasn't playing defense. After James and Lily's engagement photo went viral, I didn't speak to either of them. I didn't show up at family dinners. I didn't answer texts. I didn't cry in front of anyone. I let them believe I had disappeared into my own humiliation, that I had accepted defeat once again. But quietly in the background, I started collecting everything I could. I wasn't mourning anymore. I was planning. For 6 months, I watched her. I watched both of them. James had moved into Lily's condo, but it was clear from the start he wasn't exactly happy. His smile in the photos looked thinner than before. She posted about their adventures constantly, brunches, rooftop parties, art opening. She wanted the world to know he was hers now, but underneath it all, I could tell she was getting bored. Lily didn't want stability. She craved chaos. She wanted danger, attention, something that kept her adrenaline pumping. So I made a list of the things Lily couldn't resist. Money mystery, men who were a little broken, but just enough to make her feel like she could fix them. She liked a challenge, someone who looked like a movie villain but talked like a poet. I knew exactly what kind of man to feed her. I didn't have to look far. Mateo came up during a casual conversation at work. My coworker mentioned her cousin had just moved back into town after a rough year and was looking for a fresh start. When I asked what she meant, she gave a vague answer about a bad breakup, a lost job, and some stuff he doesn't talk about. That was all I needed to hear. When I met Mateo, I knew instantly he was perfect. He had the look, tall, lean, quiet, but intense. He had those slow blinks and sideways smiles that made you feel like he was always half a step ahead. He didn't talk much about himself, and when he did, he left out just enough to make you curious. There was something dark about him, but not obvious. It was in the way he stared a little too long, the way his hands stayed completely still when he spoke. We started talking casually. I made up a story about a friend who had been cheated on by her sister, which wasn't exactly a lie. He listened without judgment. He didn't ask many questions, but he was interested. I told him I needed help, someone who could make her fall, just like she made me fall, over and over. He didn't flinch. He just said, "What's the plan?" That was all I needed. I told him everything, what she liked, how she moved, where she went after work, which bars she frequented, what kind of compliments worked on. We mapped her patterns like a scientist tracking prey. I didn't want her hurt physically. I wanted her undone. Emotionally, mentally. I wanted her to taste the confusion and betrayal she fed me for years. So we crafted a version of Mateo that would be irresistible to her. Wealthy but modest. Kind but hard to read. A man who made her feel seen and unseen at the same time. A man who would let her think she was in control. And then we set the trap. Not fast. Not loud. Just enough for her to notice him. Just enough for her to want what she thought she couldn't have. And just like that, the game began. It started with a photo. Just one. Me and Mateo sitting on a bench outside a coffee shop, laughing at nothing in particular. His hand was on my knee. My hair was falling over my shoulder. It looked candid, casual, real. I made sure Lily saw it. The next day, she liked the post. No comment. No message. But I knew she'd zoomed in. I could almost hear her thinking, who's that? Over the next few weeks, I posted more. One of him holding my phone with his head bent toward me, another of 2 coffee cups and a single key on a table. Nothing too obvious. Just enough to make her curious. Just enough to make her wonder why I looked so calm, so content. Then came the accidental run-ins. I made sure Mateo and I were at the wine bar she loved on Thursday nights. She walked in with James, but her eyes locked on Mateo within seconds. He didn't even look her way. That was part of it. He laughed with me, leaned in close, then looked right past her like she wasn't worth a second glance. That's what hooked her. The next day, she texted me for the first time in weeks. Who's the guy in your pictures? He looks interesting. I replied simply, just someone I'm getting to know. Nothing else. I knew silence would drive her crazy. 2 days later, Mateo got his first message. Hey, I think we met at that bar on Thursday. I'm Lily, OP's sister. He waited before replying. I told him to play it cool, charming but detached. He wrote back, right, I remember you. You're the one who kept looking at me. That was all it took. She started messaging him more often. Small talk at first, then compliment. You seem so different from the guys she usually dates. Or, you're really easy to talk to. Mateo fed her just enough attention to keep her hooked, but never gave her control. He'd go hours without replying, then send something cryptic or flattering. She was hooked. She started lying to James. Told him she had work drinks, girls' nights, spa appointments. I knew every move she made, because Mateo told me everything. I saw the screenshots, read the messages. I can't stop thinking about you, she wrote. I feel like you get me in a way no one else does. It made my stomach twist. Not out of jealousy, out of satisfaction. She thought she was winning again. She thought she was being clever, sneaky, powerful. But every message, every plan, every touch she imagined was already written into a script we'd designed. She didn't realize she was walking through a maze where I controlled every wall, every turn, every dead end. She thought she was the predator. But this time, she was the bait. Once Lily was hooked, Mateo started to reel her in slow and steady. He never rushed her. He didn't demand anything. That was the brilliance of it. He let her think it was her idea the entire time. She was the one texting first. She was the one setting up late-night meetups. She was the one lying to James. At first, she kept it casual. She still posted pictures with James, smiling selfies, matching coffee mugs, weekend road trips. But the captions started to get shorter. The smiles didn't reach her eyes. She was already half gone, chasing the thrill Mateo offered her in secret. Mateo began telling her things she craved to hear. You're different from other women. You're too smart for the life you're living. You deserve more than a man who only talks about blueprints and mortgage payments. And she ate it up. He made her feel dangerous, exciting, like she was something rare. Someone worth leaving a whole life behind. Meanwhile, I played my part too. I started calling her again, checking in. Hey, I saw your photos with James. Everything good between you two? I kept my voice light, my tone concerned, like I was trying to be supportive. I gave her just enough room to lie, to fidget, to start doubting herself. Sometimes she'd snap, saying I was acting weird or too interested. Sometimes she'd just brush me off, like she had more important things to do. I always let her go gently. I didn't press. That's what made it work. Mateo continued the isolation. He planted little seeds in her mind, told her James didn't appreciate her, that their life was too ordinary, that she needed someone who saw the fire in her. He started ignoring her texts for a few hours, then sending voice notes late at night, whispering things like, I can't stop thinking about you, and tell me you feel it too. Lily couldn't resist. She loved being the center of someone's obsession. Within weeks, she was spiraling. She started coming home late, snapping at James. She accused him of being controlling when he asked where she'd been. The irony was rich. Then one night, she showed up at my door crying. She said she needed to crash just for a night. James and her had a fight, and she couldn't stand being in that apartment anymore. I let her in, gave her tea, asked nothing. That same night, she told me she was thinking of moving in with Mateo. I said nothing for a moment. Then I smiled and said, You sure that's a good idea? She rolled her eyes. Why do you always act like I don't know what I'm doing? I'm just asking, I said, shrugging. You've only known him a little while. She stood up, annoyed. You never liked when people liked me. Admit it. You've always hated when I get attention. I just nodded slowly. Maybe. She moved in with Mateo the next week. That was when everything began to unravel. Lily moved in with Mateo fast, like she was chasing something just out of reach. At first, she acted proud, smug even. She dropped little hints around the family. Mateo's just so different from anyone I've ever been with, she'd say. He really understands me. She made sure everyone knew she had traded up. James was gone, barely mentioned. Mateo had taken over every corner of her life, but it didn't take long before the cracks started showing. First, she stopped answering group texts. Then she started canceling plans, dinners, birthdays, even casual coffee catch-ups. She always had an excuse. Mateo's not feeling well, or I promised him we'd have a night in. Her voice changed too, quieter, more cautious. She seemed jumpy, like she was always choosing her words carefully. I watched it all unfold without ever saying much. Just a few questions here and there. Everything okay? You've been kinda MIA lately. She'd brush it off, laugh too loud, act like nothing was wrong. But I saw it in her eyes. The confidence was fading. Then she showed up to a family dinner wearing sunglasses indoors. It wasn't bright. It wasn't sunny. My mother complimented her on how chic she looked. My father didn't say a word. But I knew. Her smile was forced. Her fingers trembled when she picked up her glass. She said Mateo wasn't feeling well, and that he didn't like going to loud, crowded places. Then she said something strange, offhand, but it stuck with me. We changed the locks this week. Mateo said it's better for our privacy. Privacy. Right. I kept my face still, my voice calm. You sure everything's okay at home? She gave me a sharp look. Why do you keep asking me that? I don't know, I said, sipping my drink. You just seem different lately. She didn't respond. She stared at her plate like it had insulted her. From that point on, the distance between her and everyone else grew fast. Mateo had her on a tight leash. She stopped responding to old friends, deleted her Instagram, claimed her phone kept acting up. Though I suspected it wasn't the phone, it was him. Controlling, possessive, cold. Just enough warmth to keep her hooked, just enough fear to make her stay. She was unraveling slowly. You could see it in the way she looked over her shoulder, the way she hesitated before speaking. But the most tragic part? She still defended him. He's just protective, she told me one night after showing up unannounced. Makeup smeared and hair a mess. He's been through stuff. I get it. He just needs someone who won't give up on him. I looked her straight in the eye. And what do you need? She went quiet. Then she got angry. Said I was judging her. Said I didn't understand love. Said I'd always been jealous. The usual. I didn't argue. I just nodded, hugged her tightly, and whispered, "You deserve better." But inside, I felt something sharp and cold rise in me. This was only the beginning. The sister who stole every piece of my life was finally starting to feel the weight of her own choices. And I wasn't going to stop what was coming. It was nearly midnight when Lily showed up at my door. She looked wrecked. No makeup, hair pulled into a knot, hoodie 2 sizes too big. Her eyes were red and puffy, but not from crying. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't say a word when I opened the door. Just walked in, sat on the edge of my couch, and stared at the floor. I didn't ask what happened. I just waited. After a long silence, she said, "I found a phone." Her voice was small, hollow. "In Mateo's drawer. I wasn't looking for anything. I swear, I was just trying to find his charger. But there it was. A second phone. Not even locked." She paused, swallowing hard. There were pictures. Of me. Sleeping. In the shower. Changing. I sat still. And there were texts. Dozens. To people I don't know. He was sending them photos. Asking about money. Talking about me like I was a product. I stayed quiet, letting her speak, letting her finally feel the thing I had lived with for years. Violation, confusion, betrayal. "I thought he loved me," she whispered. "I thought we were building something." Her hands trembled in her lap. There were recordings, too. Of our conversations. Our fights. He recorded everything. Then she looked at me, truly looked at me, and for once there was no smugness in her eyes. Just fear. "I don't know what to do," she said. "I'm scared. I don't even know who he really is. He's not the man I thought he was. He's not anyone." She started crying then, ugly, silent tears that slid down her cheeks and soaked into her hoodie. "Please," she begged. "I need your help." I leaned forward, took her hand in mine, and with the calmest, softest voice I'd ever used, I said, "You took every man from me. Now he's taking everything from me." She pulled her hand away like I'd burned her, stared at me in shock. I smiled just a little. "This is what it feels like, Lily. This is what it's like to be lied to, used, tossed aside. You did it to me for years. You thought it was a game." She stood up slowly. "You knew," she said, voice shaking. "You planned this. I gave you exactly what you always wanted," I said. "A man who made you feel special. A man who made you the center of everything. You just didn't check what was at the center of him. She backed toward the door, blinking fast, stunned into silence. I didn't move, didn't stop her, just watched. Because the truth had finally hit her, and it was far, far too late. Lily didn't come back the next day, or the one after. She texted me once from a number I didn't recognize. He knows I looked through his things. He changed the locks. He took my phone. That was all she said. I waited a few hours, then replied with a simple address and time. No emotion, just a meeting point. The next evening, I drove to the edge of town and parked near an old gas station that barely had a working sign. It was quiet, dim, empty. Lily was already there, standing in the shadows with a backpack clutched in front of her like a shield. She looked thinner, like the fear had eaten pieces of her away. She climbed into the passenger seat without a word. I handed her a burner phone already activated, with a list of numbers saved under names like Safe Line, Shelter, Vanessa, Emergency. Most of them were real. Some were just disconnected lines. I needed her to feel like she had options, but not too many. I can't go back, she said, staring out the window. You won't, I said. He'll be looking for you, though. She flinched. I know. I booked you a bus. It leaves in an hour. It's headed west. The less people you tell, the better. She nodded slowly, tears starting to build again. He's going to ruin me. He has so much on me, photos, videos, messages. He'll tell people I'm crazy. Then leave first, I said gently. Let them talk after you're already gone. I didn't tell her I'd already seen Mateo that morning, that he'd come to my work quiet and dangerous, asking if I'd seen her. He knew something was off. He was trying to stay calm, but I could see the rage in his jaw, the way his hands flexed like he was holding back something ugly. I played dumb, told him I hadn't seen her in weeks, acted confused, even worried. He watched me for a long time before finally walking away. Now, sitting beside Lily in the car, I didn't say a word about it. I just drove her to the bus station and walked her to the gate. She looked at me like she wanted to say something more, something big and emotional. But in the end, she just hugged me, tight, desperate. Thank you, she whispered. You saved me. I didn't say you're welcome. I didn't say I forgive you. I just nodded and stepped back. I watched the bus pull away. Lily left everything behind, her apartment, her job, her friends. When word got out that she had disappeared, the rumors started. Some said she had a breakdown. Others said she ran off with someone else's husband. A few whispered about Mateo, but no one really knew the full story. Not even her. What they didn't know was that I had helped her, just enough. Just enough to make her feel like she escaped on her own. Just enough to make it harder for her to rebuild. She lost more than her reputation. She lost her image, her shine, the control she loved so much. She couldn't face anyone. Not after the way she left. Not after what Mateo threatened to do. And no one suspected me. To them, I was just the sister who tried to help. Quiet. Supportive. Innocent. The only one who knew the full truth was Lily. And she'd never dare tell it. It's been a year now. Lily lives 3 states away in a rundown rental with bars on the windows. She changes her phone number every few months and still sleeps with a chair against the door. She doesn't use her real name on job applications anymore. The friends she used to post brunch photos with? Gone. Her voice on the phone is always rushed, distant, like she's waiting for something terrible to find her again. She never talks about Mateo. She never talks about James either. As for me, I got promoted 6 months ago. New title, better office, quiet respect. I'm dating someone now, someone calm, kind, who's never even heard Lily's name. He doesn't ask about my past, and I don't offer it. No one around me knows what really happened. If they ask why I don't speak to my sister anymore, I just smile and say we drifted apart. Sometimes, when I can't sleep, I scroll through anonymous forums, the kind where people post their secrets, their regrets. Every now and then, I write it out. Not all of it, just pieces. Bits of what she did, what I did back. No names. No location. Just enough to taste it again. And I always end it the same way. Sometimes revenge is quiet. You don't need to scream. You just need to wait. Because I waited. And when it came, it didn't look like fire or fury. It looked like silence. Like a phone that doesn't ring. Like people who stop asking where she went. Like a life she can never fully explain. I didn't destroy her. I just let her walk into the storm she built for me. And then I watched her disappear into it, alone. Do you think I went too far, or did Lily finally get what she deserved? I really want to know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed my story, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one.